no.
I know. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people just like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. But before I introduce you to today's guest, who is going to be doing an amazing cooking demo all about collards, I want to mention briefly that my new book, Own Your Health, along with Glenn Merzer, our third collaboration together, will come out next week, probably on Wednesday. Of course, you can buy it on Amazon. There's no pre-orders, but if you would sign up for my mailing list, we're going to launch a bunch of bonuses that if you buy on a particular day or a few days, we'll give you several recipes, many recipes that didn't make it in the book, including my famous double frosted vanilla carrot cake and the Audible version absolutely free if you sign up to be on my mailing list and order the day we ask. So without further ado, today's guest is named Tracy Childs. She has an amazing food company called Tracy's Real Foods, and we're going to show you a couple of the products. This is the one my husband loves. These are carrot cake spice cookies. They have nothing bad in them, only good stuff. And this is a delicious granola. She cooks the way I eat, and we're even going to offer you 10% discount if you'd like to try some of her healthy, delicious treats. Please welcome today, Tracy Childs. It's great to see you again.
Hey, Chef AJ. I love the title of your book. I'm all about owning your own health. That's just, that's something that we all need to just embrace. And in today's world, it's so important that we do that, right? We just need to own our own health, and it's really about what we eat. That's the take-home message that everyone needs to understand and embrace and be part of the movement, right? And you want to do for your body what it deserves, and that's what I think a lot of people have problems with. They don't understand that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the movement, being part of the movement, tell us your story, Tracy. What got you eating and cooking this way?
Yeah, so it actually goes back to when I was a teenager, or forever. I never liked meat. I never liked milk. I was just a strange kid that loved vegetables, but I was kind of raised that way. My parents are from Idaho, and so we ate a lot of vegetables. They grew up with farms, with gardens and stuff. So we've always been gardening, and we've always just eaten a lot of vegetables. But the thing was that my family was also into sheep herding on my dad's side. And so I ended up being into 4-H and raised sheep for a while when I was a teenager. And it all just kind of clicked after, it all clicked, but I just kind of thought it was part of the deal. That's what you do, is you raise animals and then they become food. Even though I didn't like meat myself, it's kind of a weird mixed up thing. But when I was 17, there was a lot of things that came together, including taking biology and seeing the cross section of pork up there on the screen when the teacher was showing it, and all the different microorganisms and what they did to you and how they could kill you and make you really sick. And so I was like, wait, I'm a vegetarian. So let's just get out of the 4-H and get out of all this stuff. And I became vegetarian. And I was the only vegetarian I knew. This is back in, I don't want to age myself, but 1978 and date myself. But so from there on, I'm not eating meat, and really just so enamored with the whole concept and just learning about it and trying to read every book out there that I could find and educate myself. And so, I go to college, get married, come back, live in San Diego. I went to college in Idaho, which is a really strange place to go if you're a vegetarian, but I did. I survived. And then came back here to San Diego and started, really getting more into watching speakers, seeing John Robbins and following him and reading his books. And so I understood that I needed to be vegan. So I went vegan and didn't know too many other vegans at the time, but did it and love it and loved the lifestyle, and just continued to follow all the gurus, including you, Chef AJ, and the movement, and just really wanted to be part of it. So as much as I could, while raising my kids vegan, just started moving into it. and so actually my degree is in software engineering, and that's where I worked for a number of years. So when I worked professionally for other people, that's what I was doing, software engineering, but really wanted to be in the kitchen and sharing. So I'm just loving now, after all these years, just seeing it really take off is just really exciting, and just to be part of it, which is cool. In 2005, I've always followed the PCRM. So in 2005, I saw that they were announcing their Food for Life program, where they were certifying people to become instructors in their own community. And so I had already been thinking about doing that. I really wanted to share my knowledge and share with people who were interested, because most people around me were not, you know, including my family and most of my friends. But I knew there was people out there that really wanted to get this information. So I became certified. I went to Washington, D.C., became certified with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCRM.org, and was one of their first instructors. And we taught how foods fight cancer. And that was also near and dear to my heart, because of, you know, of course, cancer touches everyone. And my mother-in-law passed away of cancer, and my grandmother. And so I really was excited to be sharing how much food can, you know, help you after a diagnosis, whatever treatment you go through, and how you can really take power back to yourself and in your own health and in your own home, in your own kitchen, and teaching those skills. So over the years, I've just learned a lot. And of course, I became enamored with cruciferous veggies. And so these are just things I just grabbed out of my kitchen, and my refrigerator. I have broccoli, I have kale, loving kale, as Chef AJ says. But today I wanted to really go into one that people forget about. It's collard greens. So these are something I love to keep on hand, and people don't know what to do with them generally, right? So would you find that, Chef AJ, that people don't know what to do with collard greens? Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I had a little bit of a sound problem, but it's fixed now. I apologize. I heard you say about collard greens. I love them, and I might have missed a couple of minutes, but if you don't mind, Tracy, there's a couple of people that have asked questions and wanted to say hi to you. They're your personal friends and fans, Juanita Takeda and Elizabeth Manser.
And who?
Elizabeth Manser.
Oh, hi. Hey, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was on your show a little while
ago.
Right.
She says she missed seeing you. And there was a question about, do you have to cook the greens for them? I mean, can they be cooked and still have benefits, or can they only be eaten raw?
So that's a great question. And I get that all the time. And the truth is that we want to do both. Of course, you can always just cook them if you want, but I'm going to show you how to cook them gently. And my method that I've learned over the years, because as soon as I became vegan in 1990, of course, I was like, all right, so how am I going to get my calcium? I had my son in 1990, and I had my daughter in 1995. So of course, it was a concern of mine that I wanted to meet my calcium needs while I was pregnant, and also for the kids. So let's figure out kale. And that was the first thing, right? And so over the years, I've just done many things with kale. Kale salads. I think it is good to break them down to some way to help your body to assimilate them, whether it's cooking gently or massaging them, or just chewing really well is really important to get all the great nutrition out of those veggies. Wouldn't you say that too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how to do them really simple and raw, also the collards. But yeah, you really want to make sure you chew it. And you might want to incorporate just some whole food fats with it to help to assimilate a lot of the nutritional value. And so as just like Chef AJ, I've been following all the gurus over the years, and I think it was about 10 years ago or so that I just stopped using oil. with the PCRM, we found out that, you know, when I was teaching the classes, you know, guess what? When you add oil to your food or to a recipe, it's, even if you just add a tablespoon, you're adding 120 extra calories and about 14 extra grams of fat. So, and no nutrition. So, so really important that you, when you use those fats, and I'm going to show you some today, that they be whole food fats. And that way you're getting all the nutritional value that goes along with it, whether it's from a seed or a nut or avocado, or, you know, there's so many ways to get your fats that are whole foods. So, but really important to you know, if you're trying to lose weight, you'll want to cut back on those and not use a lot of them. And, you know, those are things that I love to teach in my classes, just to help people empower themselves to learn about nutrition, learn where the fats are, where all the nutrition is, and where all the extra calories are if they're trying to lose weight. It's just super important. And once people do that, it just clicks, and they start to see success, which is so cool to witness. So, so yeah, that's what I've been doing all these years, is just really trying to get in the kitchen, get people in the kitchen. Since the COVID hit was when I realized that I wasn't going to be teaching these in-person classes and in-person events. So I launched my company, Tracy's Real Foods. And it turns out my husband was excited to be part of that. So we've launched it together. And all these years I was loving to just give gifts from the kitchen and experimenting with baked goods and things that will last. And I could package them up as a product and play around with labels and just kind of enamored with that whole concept. And then I realized, you know, we need to flood the market with these products. You know, we need to, you know, get these products out there so people can enjoy them and not buy the bad stuff. You know, obviously I'm all about teaching people how to create them at home as well. But, you know, that little convenience that people love to have and treat themselves is all what I'm about too. And so, and speaking of teaching people at home, I do have a class coming up online. It's my first online class since all this hit, all about vegan cheese. So that's one thing that I love to do, is to teach people about how to replace dairy products, because that's a big stumbling block for lots of people. And so I'm going to show you a sour cream today, but all about vegan cheese. It's online. I've created a whole plan, and we're going to not only create a fermented cheese. This is, I got from the recipe, or started with Miyoko Shinner's ideas from her book. And so we're going to create this fermented cheese. This is with cashews. You can use a seed also, and beans, actually. That's where I have differed a little bit from her recipes. And so it's half the fat, probably half the calories. So anyways, we'll be creating some, I want to get to cooking, but we'll be creating a dish every day of that class. It's going to be start Monday, this Monday, veg-appeal.com, all about vegan cheese. And it's going to be 3 nights in a row. And we'll go through the whole process of creating those fermented cheeses, and then some really fast and easy ones too.
If you want to give me that information in an email, I could just put everything in the show notes.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Because I haven't so much time to promote this class. So I thought, well,
right.
I'm so busy, but I really appreciate you having me on here, Chef AJ.
It's my pleasure. I just need to say one thing, because I know people are going to ask for the recipes. Guys, the system that I use changed the amount of work that I can put in advance. So unfortunately, to get the recipes, either the chef will have you email them. In this case, they will be there, but you need to give me a little bit to then put them back into YouTube, because YouTube will allow 5,000 words. The system I'm using only allows a few hundred. So please understand, but you will get these recipes if you come back later. And anything else you want in the show notes, Tracy, you just give that to me, okay?
Okay. Perfect. All right. So I want to show you a recipe. A little while ago, I was part of the book, Handbook to Higher Health Consciousness, and by David Cater, who's a friend of mine. And he's a guy who watched Forks Over Knives years ago and just got very enamored with the whole idea of plant-based eating and did a bunch of research. And he created this whole book. It's available on Amazon. And I did a lot of the recipes. And so one of the recipes I'm sharing are from this book. So I'm going to be doing collard quinoa tacos. And this is a way to get more collards into your life. And super easy. I'm a big proponent of prep ahead and just meal prep type things, but also just prepping the ingredients. In fact, I have 3 ebooks on my website, veg-appeal.com, all about having a prep day and creating the basics. And then from there, you can create all these different recipes. So what I usually do is I'll get quinoa done. And this is called Anti-Inflammatory Quinoa. Can you guys see that? And I put some turmeric and black pepper in that. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory, and black pepper helps the turmeric, the curcumin, which is the component that is anti-inflammatory. It stays in your system longer when you add a little pepper. And so this is very convenient just to have your quinoa. And so this is already prepared, but I do soak it ahead of time for about, it doesn't take very long. They're very small, so maybe like an hour or 2. And then drain that, and it cleans the quinoa very nicely. And then it cooks and it fluffs up beautifully. So we're going to give you that recipe. And the other things I like to do ahead are brown rice, potatoes. Very try to, of course, have a starch-based diet, but high in veggies too. And another thing I do is my kale, and my broccoli. So I'll do kale and broccoli and have those done. So I thought I'd show you real quick here how I do those things. So for kale, so I always like to do the curly kale. I use the lacinato kale, which is the bumpy kale. I like to use that in smoothies, things like that. So I'll consume that usually raw. So that's the question, it's like I consume it raw in smoothies. I consume it raw in salads and chop it up real fine. But I always like to get some cooked in. And then this is super easy too. So what I do is I get my water boiling. I get it like to a nice rolling boil. And then we do the strip, right? We're going to strip the kale. And can you guys see? Let me get this out of the way.
Tracy, there's a question on what kind of pots and pans do you use, and a question about the book that you contributed the recipe for recipes for. Is it all whole food plant-based? And a question if any of your baked goods are kosher.
Kosher. Yes, that's a good question. So they're kosher because they're vegan, right? So there's no animal products whatsoever. So they're parve and kosher. I don't know as far as the rules with that. My husband's Jewish, so he blesses them all, I think. So, all right. So what was the other question?
What kind of pots and pans are you using? And if the cookbook that you contributed recipes for, is it all whole food plant-based?
Yeah, so the cookbook, so there's the book itself. It's very similar to Dr. Bernard's books, where there's the author and he gives a lot of information. It's really valuable. And he kind of tells his story. In this book, it's David Cater, and he tells his story and all about his research and what he's found, and shares lots of resources, which is so cool. But so his recipes that he shares aren't necessarily all whole food plant-based, but mine are all marked. It says Tracy Childs of Veg Appeal. That was before I started Tracy's Real Foods, of course, which was started in March, right when COVID hit. So on veg, it says Tracy Childs of Veg Appeal. So all those recipes, and I contributed over 100. So there's a lot of great ideas in there. And it's pretty inexpensive on Amazon, I think like $10 or something. So, all right, so when the water's boiling, I always take the stem off. The reason I take the stem off is because it's different cooking times. So for some people, they may be fine with it in here. It's extra chewy, but for my classes, I always teach them how, a lot of people are beginners at kale, so I want to teach them how to enjoy it so that it'll be something that they really enjoy and to make it really tender. So get that going. And then I just take, that's really super fast, is just stripping it off. And now if you're gonna do a salad, you do the strip and massage. But you don't need to massage it if you're gonna throw it in the boiling water. But we always have fun with that in classes. So we just give it a chop, give it a rough chop. Can you guys see this? And, but you can massage it a little bit too. So this is just all gonna break it down and make it more assimilable for your body to easily assimilate the goodness in here. So the water's boiling now. So this tool, this is a wire strainer, and I've been a fan of this for a long time. This is, I always tell people, like, this is what you should get and have in your kitchen if you want to incorporate more cruciferous veggies. So I just drop the kale in. Now, I follow all the doctors, right, that are gurus in our field, and Dr. Greger is one of them. And he has given us some great information from his research on nutritionfacts.org about how to enjoy these cruciferous vegetables and how to make sure that you still maintain the nutritional value. So when you cook the kale, you are gonna lose a little bit of the sulforaphane, which is a cancer fighter. But I always just cook it, you can see, I hope, that it just turns bright like this in about 1 minute. I really cook it for like 1 or 2 minutes. Depends on, you know, the kale itself, but it gets really tender this way, just in the boiling water, and you just kind of immerse it, and then you use the wire strainer to grab it out. And then I just put in a bowl and let it dry a little bit. And then I put it in a container and I have it handy. Honestly, it's so good plain. I just love it. A little bit of lemon is how my hubby likes it. Now, to help to reactivate that sulforaphane, you can add, according to Dr. Greger's research, some raw kale. Or some raw cruciferous vegetables when you're eating it. So this is one of my favorite things to add, and I love raw, is purple cabbage, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So that's a great way to get your kale. And then while I have this boiling, I'll go ahead and do some collards. I'm going to choose a really large collard because I'm going to show you how to do a wrap in a little bit. So let's find a really large one. This one's nice. And again, you're just dipping it. This way, you make sure you don't take the stem off. And I love doing hands-on with my classes, and I'm always getting them handling kale and collards and, you know, their cruciferous vegetables during the classes as much as possible. That way they're not scared of them. So, right, Juanita? Juanita's watching. And it's so much fun. I really miss it. I can't wait to get back to teaching those types of classes. So look at that. It turns bright. It gets floppy like this. And then you just put it on your cutting board. And when you dry it off a little bit, let's see, where's my towel? You dry it off a little bit, and then you can take the stem off. And what I do is, if you can see this, I thin out the stem here. Okay, so a lot of people ask, what do you do with the stems? Do you throw them away? No. My dog loves them, but she can only eat so many. She's really small. So what I do is I put them in the freezer and I make broth. So I make my own vegetable broth from all my scraps that I'm not using. So I just put them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and they're all good to go. So then I put them in a big pot like this, and then can you see the pot? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I put them in a pot like this, fill it up with water, just over the veggies. They cook them down for about, an hour or two, keep them full, keep it with the water, and the water cooks down. And then I just let it cool and then drain it and strain out all that broth. And then sometimes I reuse the veggies if I have a lot of them. And the type of cookware I use is Salad Master. So I was introduced to Salad Master through the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They were so generous. They are so generous. They donate their cookware for us to use in our classes. So I'm really blessed to own a full set of all of their amazing cookware. And this is their cooktop too that I use for classes. So they're a wonderful company, and they're very supportive. And the magic behind Salad Master is that no metal gets leached into your food. It's lined with surgical titanium inside. And so there's no chemical reaction from your cookware into your food, which is really important. All right, so now I want to go ahead and create the filling for my collard tacos. So that's super easy. So I've got the quinoa already set. So I use about 1.5 cups of my quinoa that I've already cooked. And I like to cook ahead, of course, beans, some kind of beans, maybe a couple of different types. My favorites are black beans and chickpeas, because they're so versatile. And so I use my Instant Pot here. I know Chef AJ is a big fan of using an Instant Pot, and me too. It makes cooking beans so easy. I just soak them ahead of time, fill it up with water, and just soak them, put water just a little bit above the beans, and cook them. I cook these for about 16 minutes, and then they come down from pressure themselves. You really don't have to do anything, which is so cool. And it's so much cheaper and so fresh, so much cheaper than the canned beans. So, all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and add about 1.5 cups of my black beans, making a mess here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use some salsa. So if you don't have salsa, or you can't find, if you're all low sodium and you don't use any salt, then you can just add a can of tomatoes and your own spices. But I like the convenience of using some salsa. This is the salsa I'm using today. It's just your organic from Kirkland is Costco. And it's really like, I think it's $7 for 2 of these. So pretty cheap. Always looking to save money. So, and then you can spice it up from there. You can add some cumin. I love adding some turmeric to it. I always add turmeric whenever I can. And then I always, whenever I see that bright yellow going on, I add some black pepper.
Tracy, I have a question, but first, I thank Violet Rodriguez for her super chat donation. And if you did a donation during the Goldhammer one, I'm so sorry. I just couldn't ring the bell with him. It was just very stressful, that one, because there was like 50 pages of questions. And speaking of questions, Tracy, Jesse wants to know, why no cruciferous in broth?
Oh, I didn't say that, did I? No cruciferous in broth?
I thought, well, let's see. Maybe I read the question wrong.
Oh, I use, maybe that's what they found or something, that's not a good thing. Yeah, I do use the stems. I put the stems in my broth. And any scraps, so ends of celery, ends of onions, all that stuff, I put in the freezer.
I see Renee said she read not to use that. So I maybe you can give us some more information where you heard that, Renee, because
yes.
Maybe they feel it might be bitter or something. I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe she can let us know. Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, so really, this is just it for the filling. You can add some corn to it and, just go crazy. I love people to just not really follow recipes. I like to teach them the basics, and then they can just go with it and take that knowledge and create things that they're really comfortable with along the lines of a whole food plant-based diet. So, all right, so I just heat this up. So this is super fast. And then if I'm going to, well, I want to actually show you guys how to make the sour cream to go with it. So it's all about the sauce. So while that's heating, I'll just turn it down because this thing heats up things very fast. Let's get some things out of the way. And then you can add some lime to it. I'll go ahead and do that. And now I'm making a sour cream. Now, since this is a Mexican recipe, I'm going to add lime to it as well. So I'm going to quick switch things around here. Okay, so I've made sour cream, my own sour cream, my own mayonnaise for so many years. And at first, when I became vegan, I did buy some of the vegan products. There weren't that many, but I just looked at the ingredients and I saw that, wow, you know, these are just not very healthy. So, so I just started looking around for recipes and ideas, and then just kind of went from there and learned how to change it up and make it mine. So this is the way to incorporate creaminess, and you know, you can play it up, but I liked adding something, a seed or a nut to it. So I'm adding some hemp seeds. So you guys see that these are hemp seeds. I've been soaking these. Yeah, you don't need to soak them, especially with a Vitamix, but I thought let's just make it extra creamy. Give that a shot. So these are hemp seeds. You can probably see them. They are high in your omega-3 fatty acids. And so there's really good fats in there. So that goes in my blender. And then I use tofu. So I've been using this silken tofu for years. And now if you use the silken tofu, you probably don't even need to add a fat to it. And tofu, of course, is high in fat in itself. So it is a source of whole food fats. But I started just messing around and using regular tofu and just seeing how that was. So this is the Trader Joe's sprouted tofu. And what's nice is that it comes in a little 2-pack. So you can just use one part of it. Now this makes plenty, is just with one. So it's got water in it. So I slice that with a, oops. Do this over the sink, of course. And I just washed my hands, so I'm gonna go ahead and drain it really well. All right, so tofus all come in different ways. So they'll say firm, and a lot of times they have, this is extra firm, but you can see that it's not super firm, right? So there's you just need to just buy it and mess with it and see, but we don't need it to be super firm. We're blending it up. We actually want it to be a little bit soft. So the type of tofu you use, though, will determine the amount of water that needs to be added. Or I'm, in this case, using a little bit of aquafaba, which is the cooking water from cooking chickpeas. So I keep that on hand. I'll usually just keep all of it. I end up like tossing a lot of it. You can freeze it too, though, and just add a little bit. I add it as needed. So I'm going to add some miso. Miso, let's see here. This is the miso paste. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. So this is the one I'm using right now. I love chickpea miso. That's organic. This was at Sprouts. It's a lot cheaper. So I do use a lot. I love the umami taste and flavor that you get from miso. And so, but if you're not using miso, you could add a little bit of salt or just leave it out. But I like adding it to my sauces. It's great for your microbiome. It's got probiotics. It's a fermented food. So, and then we're making sour cream, so we want it to be sour. So we'll add some lemon. So this is my handy dandy squeezer this is a great tool to have in your kitchen. I've gone through a few of these. Don't get that one that's painted yellow because it chips. Get this one.
Tracy, Dina says, how long does aquafaba last in the fridge? And Annette would love to learn uses for it.
Okay, so it's beans in general don't last a really long time in the fridge. They are, I don't know why, but they do attract some bacteria. So you can probably keep it in the fridge for about up to a week at the most. Just smell it. If it has a smell to it, just dump it. It's just really, you know, just cook up some more chickpeas. Or you can use a can of chickpeas and use that too. Different uses are, people would use it as a meringue, which is really cool. But I'm not much of a dessert meringue person, so I don't really do that, but I've tried it. And with it just turns out, I think the canned ones work better, but maybe you could cook this down and get rid of some of the water if you're gonna make meringue. So meringue usually involves sugar. I don't use sugar, so. All right, so there's our lemon. And I'm gonna add a touch of lime as well. And so that's it. You can just blend this up. So this is my handy dandy. I got this when I became vegan. This Vitamix. And I've got it on high right now. So this thing is from 1990, you guys. And it still works. So I'm a contributor on Jane Unchained. If you haven't followed Jane Unchained, you guys, we do a lunch break live every day at 12:30. So after you watch Chef AJ, you can turn over to watching Jane Unchained, and we do the blender dance. So what I also want to point out about this is I have the aquafaba on hand. I can add a little bit of it. Where's my tablespoon? Oh, here. And this will thicken up in the fridge too, this sour cream I'm making. So just add a little. It makes things fluffier when you whip it up. So it's just a creamy, fluffier consistency. All right, so I'm walking this backwards here. Turn it on, there we go. Oh. All right, so you can see how nice and creamy that is. So it's just your basic stuff. And so you can see actually from the, let me get it into a bowl. From the hemp seeds, I got some cute little specks in it. Because they have a little bit of dark coloration. So, but that's your sour cream. So good. And so once you do these things in your collards, you're creating some really great filling with black beans and quinoa and salsa. And you're creating a sauce, and you've got some really nice fresh toppings, which I'll show you. You're not going to notice the collard. What you'll notice is the goodness of how good you feel afterwards, after eating it, and also the crunch, which is really nice. So I'm using them raw for the tacos. So let me show you. Let's see, where's my collard? Here we go. So you don't know when you go to the store whether you're going to get a bigger collards, like, well, this is the biggest one I think that I had, or you might end up with a bunch of really small ones, and they might give you more of them. So you got to deal with what you get. So when it's small like this, what I do is, just like I showed you before, I thin out the stem. You guys see that? Just take a little knife like this one. This is I love these are Cutco, and these are, I guess, steak knives. They've never touched steak. And just go ahead and just thin it out, right? And then you have a taco shell, okay? So, but if you have really big ones, then it's even easier. You don't need to thin it out. You just, and I found out about this idea actually at Fruitive in Washington, D.C. when I was at the conference where I met you, I think, for the first time. Oh no, I met you on the cruise in 2015, the Holistic Holiday at Sea Cruise, AJ. So anyways, when it's big like this, I'll create 4 tacos, okay? So if you guys can see, move some stuff. I layer down here, and just on either side of the stem, I cut either side. And this is the way they do it at Fruitive. And you can get all different, they have 3 different types of collard tacos. So then you have these halves, and then you can just cut them. Then you have like taco sliders. So that way you get to eat 4 tacos. Okay, yay. So now we have the different ways you can create your taco shells. And let me grab our ingredients over here. So from here, you just go ahead and add some of your filling to your tacos. I'll just go ahead and do 2 right now. So you add your filling, and you can add your filling in the middle of this one. This is actually going to be a nice taco. They're all going to be nice. We had these last night for dinner. And you can eat a lot of these, you guys. That's the magic of a starch-based diet or a low-fat diet, high in vegetables, low in calories, is that you can, the volume of food you eat, don't be afraid, you can eat a high volume of food. Just be satisfied. All right, so from here, you can add your toppings. And I'm a big fan of sprouting, so I sprout these legumes. These are mung beans, and you can just soak these and let them grow in your sieve, the sieve like I just showed on the side. And I rinse them like just these. I started, I think on, it's a Friday, I started on Wednesday night, soaked it all day Wednesday. They sprouted. Of course, it's really hot here in Pali right now, as I'm sure it is in Indio. And they sprouted just in a day. So this is the sprouting technique, and these add a nice crunch. They're adding, it's a mung beans or a bean, of course, so they're adding fiber and they're adding protein. So this is a good way to add more legumes to your diet. So I just add a little bit of those, and we'll add, these are my marinated onions. So I love using marinated onions. So what I do is this is a red onion. It becomes so cute. Now I actually don't, I'm pink. I don't like raw onions very much. I like them in things, but I don't really like them like this. But if I soak them in a little bit of vinegar and water, I just keep it on hand, they become so good, and they don't taste like onions, and they're still nutritional. It's really good for your gut health and really good cancer fighter. This is one of my favorites, is red cabbage. Nice, another cruciferous vegetable. Now some cherry tomatoes. And then you could just add your sour cream. So look at that.
I agree with you about the, have you ever heard of California balsamic vinegar? I just soak onions in that, and I use different flavors like dill mustard, and they're tender and delicious, and you know, they're still raw, but they're amazing.
On your greens?
On everything.
On
everything. I slice onions or cucumbers and just put them in the vinegar.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep. I just like that it just changes the flavor, and you know, it's endless, right, Chef AJ? Endless amounts of things you can do with these foods. It's just, and I just keep learning more and more. I learned this when I was a chef at the Dr. Furman retreat nearby. So so look at that. And I met you there too when you were going through on your way to Rancho La Puerta.
Yeah, that was
another thing you can add is arugula. I'm not going to add it here because we're already adding these, but arugula is another cruciferous vegetable. And I wanted to point out too that I've been so enamored with this stuff over the years that I created some handouts. This is about cancer prevention and cruciferous tips, and just explains a lot about how great they are for fighting disease in general. And also some tips on how to cook it. And if you email me at hello@tracysrealfoods.com, I'll send these PDFs to you. These are what I created for my classes. And I'll also send you about microbiota and gut health. I have this really nice little handout about that, and how important it is, and the types of superfoods to supercharge your gut. So those, hello@tracysrealfoods.com. Okay, one other thing I wanted to show you is a really quick way another way to incorporate more of these. Oh, by the way, you can use this, you can add all these ingredients and make a wrap using this type of this is like a flour tortilla, using the parboiled greens or collards. So that's, I love doing that and adding just all different things to fill that up. All right, so let me clean this off real quick because I'm gonna shift gears and show you a dessert / snack with the collards. Let me grab another one. Okay, so this when I was working at the retreat, everybody got super excited about this recipe, and we would have this for breakfast on a regular rotation. I found out about it, I was just at a health show, and this guy was eating this green thing, like a green burrito made out of collards. I said, what is in there? He said, banana. I said, are you kidding me? Banana? And so I created this recipe, and you won't believe it. Everybody loves it. So you take a large collard like this, or if you have a small one, you can create like a taco, and have a great picture I'll share with that. But if you have a larger one and you want to create a wrap, you do the same thing. You thin out the stem. Of course, when Dr. Furman made these, he would not thin out the stem. He would just eat the stem, of course. And then you can put a little nut butter on it. I was thinking about it though. Some people are avoiding nuts and avoiding almonds, peanuts. Maybe you might want to, you want to spread something on here. You could put a little bit of date paste.
Oh, that sounds good. Actually.
Yeah, I think that would be even more of a dessert. So this one is, but I think you want to add a little bit of fat. So you could sprinkle in some hemp seeds, some chia seeds, some flax, ground flax, whatever. So I'm just going to show you the classic is with a little bit of nut butter. So you just spread her on. Doesn't matter. You can just you can spread it really, really thin if you want to just, but peanut butter, of course, we know is super flavorful and pretty much takes over the flavor. So you will not taste the collard. If you're afraid of collards, this is a great way. I'm going to add a little touch of my date paste. So date paste, as a lot of your followers would know, you just take dates, pitted, of course, and put them in your blender, and add usually kind of equal amounts of water to dates, and just blend her up. If you don't have a high-speed blender, you can just let them soak. and then blend. All right, so I like adding cinnamon in here. So this is great for your blood sugar too. For those of you who have blood sugar issues, I like to add a little bit of oats. You can make these ahead, which is nice too. You can actually make these for travel and just wrap them up and keep them on hand. And the oats kind of soak up the fat and does it so it doesn't like leak through here. Even though, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just, it looks kind of funny. Now, I gave you a recipe for my raw berry compote. So this is just blended up. It's like your own little jelly that's like your guilt-free jelly. And it's great to make your own, you know, because this is just, can you guys see it? There. It's made with frozen berries. You just thaw them out. You blend them up with some dates if you want. So I use mixed berries, so they're a little tart. So I'll add some dates. Just like for about 2 cups, I add about 1 or 2 dates, pitted, of course. And then I add something to soak up the water, because obviously berries get very watery when they thaw out. And I add flaxseed or chia seed to it. Or you can just use some, for this I think I used some mango. So mango also will help thicken it up. All right, so now you can just add that and your banana. So this is pretty small, so I won't be able to add like a whole banana, but I'll just go ahead and peel banana, peel banana. And I'll usually just add like 1/4 of a banana in there. So look at that. And then you can put in some strawberries too if you want to. Strawberries are in season right now. Blueberries. Just have fun with it. Okay, and then you just wrap it up like a burrito. And you can put a little bit more nut butter on the end here if you want to, see, like right here to make it stick. Okay, here you go. Here's my plate. I wish I had the whole Scott family here to test everything. I watched that video recently and I love that all the kids are tasting all the food and loving it so much. And it's so cool to see that family and how much they've embraced this lifestyle. So anyway, yeah, so that's your, you know, let me cut it in half so you guys can see. You see that? It's amazing.
That looks amazing.
It's so nice. And like I said, if you don't want to eat them raw for whatever reason, some people, if you're eating too many of these raw, you can have digestive issues or be afraid of your imbalance of your iodine or things like that. So you can actually use cooked ones if you want, which neutralizes the acrylic acid. But I like them raw because I like the crunch. So.
Hey, you want to tell us about Tracy's Real Foods? When did you start it? What do you offer?
Yeah, so I started that in March. I was already going to do it on like a part-time level, just to go ahead and create some foods to sell my classes, and just do it as slowly. And been working on it for years. And like I said, I love giving gifts from the kitchen. And so I've just always played around with labeling and things like that. And when COVID hit, we decided, let's just launch it. So we started launching the company. We got our processed food license. We create in San Diego, down in the Mission Gorge area, Maya's Cookies. We use an all vegan kitchen. All my foods are gluten-free, vegan, high fiber, nutritionally balanced, because they incorporate nuts, seeds, beans, all the things we're talking about here, and all in the convenience of this amazing tasting cookie that you would never know has beans in it. And recently what I've done is switched over to using lentils. Lentils are, so this is the chocolate cookie, the chocolate, we call it whole food plant-based double chocolate cookie. And lentils and dates are the base of it, and with oats. And I was using some kind of nut or seed. I was using almonds at first, but I really wanted to go organic. And so I switched over to sunflower seeds because sunflower seeds are much cheaper, more sustainable than almonds, use a lot less water, and easy to get organic. So almonds are extremely expensive, especially when they're organic. So I've started to use sunflower seeds, and I switched over to lentils too. I was using black beans and chickpeas, which I've seen lots of recipes for throughout the years, and just went over to lentils because lentils are a really good source of plant-based protein. They're actually number 2 after, guess what? The soybean. So you, for people that are concerned about that, obviously we know that there's plenty of protein in all the plants, all the food. As long as you're eating enough calories, you're going to be fine. But so people, as they're athletes or they're aging and getting older and they're really concerned, what's great is, you can have a cookie and you can have them for breakfast if you want, because it's nutritionally balanced, still tastes like a cookie. That's what's great, right? Your husband say that they tasted like a cookie?
Oh, he loved them. Yeah, absolutely. Let me show. I can show them. They come in a cute little bag.
So the ingredients. So it's lentils is the first ingredient, and dates, and those things are broken down. You never know they're in there, and it just sweetens it, and it's amazing. I love
guys.
Different things you can do. Look at that. Yeah.
Oh, they smell amazing. I haven't had lunch yet, or I'd eat one. I cannot wait to dive into this granola because I used to make, and when I went to culinary school, I learned how to make sprouted buckwheat granola, but I haven't made it in almost 20 years. So now I don't have to. You make it for us.
That's so great. Yes, yes. And it is sprouted. And that's the great thing about soaking is once you soak any of these things, they're alive, right? Buckwheat, all your beans, your seeds, they're all alive. So once you soak them, they're just in their dried, like dormant state when you buy them. And you'll see amazing things happen. They come to life like this. They just, yeah. So that all of my things, the lentils also are sprouted. I don't say it on the label, but they're soaked and sprouted before I cook them. That makes everything much more digestible. Easier to digest. Also, another reason to switch to that smaller bean is for people who are new to eating plant-based. They may have trouble with legumes at first. So lentils are easy to digest, and they cook quicker too. I love showing people lentils, how much they're small, so they cook in like 30 to 40 minutes. And you don't have to soak them ahead of time, but I do. So, but anyway, it's been an adventure starting this company, learning, really didn't know a lot about the food business. I know about chefing and about how to create foods and how to make them taste good. And it's always been just an adventure to me and a challenge to try and take foods and incorporate them into something delicious. Take these really super healthy foods, oats, beans, dates, and incorporate them into something super delicious for people to eat and to share with my classes. That's what I've been doing over the years. And so just being able to get out there and sell them across the United States and hopefully soon in Canada. I connected with a company in Canada. It's been great. It's just, it's been going let's just say it's been a challenge, but fun, and so much fun. And we just appreciate the support that everyone has given us, and from different influencers like you, AJ, and just really fun. The plant-based community is amazingly supportive and supporting in all of our adventures, right? And what we do, and just having fun with it. And getting out there with this, right? That's really the point. It's just showing people that you can still have an amazing diet that you're super happy with, super delicious, and stay within the boundaries of whole food, plant-based, pretty much. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for offering the viewers a 10% off with using the code Chef AJ. I've been posting your website on and off throughout this whole broadcast, so I hope they'll check it out. I've been posting the link to the book, and everything, including the recipes, will be in the show notes. But guys, give me about 10 or 15 minutes, please, after the broadcast ends to do it, and then check back. It's been so fun watching you cook today, Tracy. These recipes look amazing, especially the fruity one, you know?
Yeah, have you ever tried that?
I have actually had fruit with collards, and I think it's great. And not the way you made it, but I have done a wrap once with blueberries, and I thought it's a natural combination.
Yeah. Any ideas you have, I'd love to know too. Like you want something to get it to stick together. So, and I think hummus, but I don't think hummus and the fruit would go too well.
Actually, you know what I used some mashed Japanese sweet potatoes and blueberries that were marinated in California balsamic, and I wrapped it up, and it was yummy. I didn't put it on my channel because I thought people would go, ooh, collard desserts. But now that you have done it, I'm like, I feel brave enough to I'll put that on my channel.
Broken ground.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was so great seeing you here, and I hope everybody will check out Tracy's website, tracyrealfoods.com, and look at all the wonderful baked goods that are guilt-free with 10% off with code Chef AJ. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. And I do hope you'll come back tomorrow when we have Chef Chris Jolly. If you've ever been to Vegetarian Summerfest, he's not the main chef. That was Mark Reinfeld, who's been on the show before, but he manned the raw bar, and he's an extraordinary chef, and he's going to be showing us how to make sushi. Thanks again, Tracy. You take care.
Thank you, Chef AJ, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. Everybody have a great day. Stay cool.
Bye.
Bye.